So a man's fertility peaks typically in his 20s or so, along with his testosterone. And what happens once you hit the age of 20, it's a downhill slide from there. So your testosterone may peak in its 600 to 700 range, and then it's about 1 to 2% lower per year every year. So your testosterone could be in the 500 to 600 range by the time you're in your 40s, and go into the 300 range when you're in the 70s. So having said that, the right number of what is a right testosterone for me or the next guy is going to be different for each person. Some people need more, some people need less, and they're still functioning just fine. But as the testosterone drops and people age, obesity and other smoking and other lifestyle and dietary factors enter, you can see a slow and steady decrease in production of sperm. Typically, someone could make between 100 to 200 million sperm per ejaculate when you're in your 20s. That will steadily drop. The minimum textbook required amount of sperm to get someone pregnant is about 20 million sperm. So even having said that, so if you're in your 40s and 50s and you have 50 million sperm, much less than you used to, you could still get someone pregnant. And as I like to say, it only takes one sperm to get someone pregnant. The second thing is, what about females? Females also kind of peak in fertility in their 20s or so. There is a pretty significant drop in fertility that happens by age 30. By 35 is a little bit more of a decrease, and by 40 there's a significant drop off, or a cliff I call it, in terms of getting pregnant. So interestingly, a difference in men versus women is when a woman is born, a girl is born, they're born with all the eggs they're going to have for their lifetime. So what happens is, with each ovulation cycle, beginning in your teenage years, you will drop 1 or 2 eggs per month. And others will slowly atrophy or die, but you're actually starting off with a finite number of eggs, which slowly decrease and drop off year over year. On top of that, as you age 30, 35, 40, you will actually have also changes in estrogen production, etc., which will progressively lead to a lower and lower ability to be fertile and get pregnant. As a man ages, quality, quantity also decrease. So you'll see a decrease in motility, which is the ability of sperm to swim. You'll also see increased levels of defects in the head of the sperm. You will see an increased number of abnormal spermatogenesis, 2 heads, 2 tails, different abnormal sperm, until the end of days, where you'll actually see complete cessation of production of sperm, which will typically happen in the 60s to 70s and beyond. You'll actually stop producing sperm. You may have some ejaculate left, but very little sperm. So that's another question that we get, is whether it's IVF or people who have testosterone issues or fertility issues for men who want to get pregnant. They ask, well, hey, I'm older, what are the chances we may have some issues in terms of birth defects? So what happens typically in conception, only the good healthy sperm penetrate the egg and lead to a formation of an embryo. Having said that, occasional errors in that process happen that might result in a early loss of pregnancy. Miscarriage often is a result of that. However, in some cases, as this is something to be cognizant of, as the female ages and gets past the 35-year mark, certainly there's an increased association with that and Down syndrome. Then there have been some associations between older sperm and certain cognitive or other issues with the children subsequently. Having said that, the era of genetic screening has gotten really, really good. So in a lot of situations, at a patient's request, the OB can actually draw peripheral blood from the mother after she's become pregnant, and they can actually separate the mother's blood from the fetal blood and actually do genetic testings early in pregnancy. As you age, sperm production in quantity and quality will slowly decrease, so the factory does slow down with time. What will happen is you do have the maximum in terms of volume, quantity, and quality of sperm at about 3 to 4 days latency period. So every 3 to 4 days you will recharge the system to maximum potential. Over 3 to 4 days, there actually is a slow decay or death of sperm, so you'll see actually a decline. So the peak in terms of for fertility purposes is at about 3 to 4 days. Now, some people, if you keep having sex repeatedly, like say every day, or every second day or something like that, you'll actually see a decreased amount of sperm per ejaculatory cycle because your system isn't keeping up with that, if that makes sense.